Royalties, royalties, royalties. That is the talk of the day. Royalties in NFTs are under heat, and there's a lot of controversy around what is the right solution here. Creators are saying royalties need to stay, exchanges are saying royalties need to go, and everyone in between is caught in the crossfire. We're going to cover all of that today in today's show, as well as some pretty huge news out of Instagram, the world of Meta, that relates to NFTs. You do not want to miss today's show. Welcome, my friends, to Goats and the Metaverse. And the first friend we're welcoming back onto the show, my fellow co-host, Stanley. How are you doing today? I must say, since you've moved to Miami, you're a little more perky, a little bit more in the groove. Miami suits you, my man. It's
I'm
going well.
dancing, baby. I'm dancing. I'm dancing. Happy Monday, everybody, especially to those Jet fans just like me. Big victory yesterday.
Well, that's
So,
where it happened.
victory Monday, the smile comes on the face, and there's a little more pep in the step. And also, I feel like I don't want to say the bear market is coming because I don't think it's coming, but I feel like there's like small baby steps of positivity coming
I like it.
around. I like it too. I like it as
Yeah.
well. Let's take a look at those crypto prices. Let's get right into it. $1,588. ETH was sitting at most of the weekend over 1,600, which is hopefully the new norm, right? If we could hang out here and every couple of months go up a little bit more, go up a little bit more, I think there's going to be more smiles all around, all around. As you could see, those numbers are down. Sol is down, ETH is down, and ApeCoin is down, but they did have a nice bounce. And let's see what our friends the JPEGs are doing. The JPEGs, a little mixed
Mixed
bag of
bag.
red and green. Not a lot of movement.
Fidenza.
Not
Fidenza is almost at 100 ETH. Oh, what's going on there? $160,000 for a Fidenza. We've seen some pretty interesting things happening in the art blocks ecosystem throughout this bear market. The grails there, squiggles, Fidenzas, and the likes are holding strong and going up. This whole narrative of utility that was the flavor of the day about 3 to 6 months ago. You had to have utility in your NFT project for anyone to be thinking about it. And now we're having the counter going, well, utility is overrated. Art is where it's at. You don't need to be reliant on any future airdrops or anything like that. You're buying it for the art. And Fidenza is holding strong, proving out that point. What do you think, Stanley? Do you think we're going to have utility coming back and being the dominant narrative, or is it going to be all about history, collector's items, and art?
I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I think there is going to be NFTs that do have utility, and those utilities are going to work. I think those are going to be based on real businesses that are really building something. For example, VFriends having the utility of having a conference, right? I think those types of things are going to stay. I think art is going to obviously have its day, and I think gaming is going to have its day. I think if the other side can deliver on what they're building and what the anticipation is, those types of things are going to work as well. Remember, we are still very, 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 very early. But one thing I will say, and what we're going to talk about today, the Opensea announcement, considering our royalties going to be optional. Is royalties something that's going to be here to stay? This is the first time we're seeing Opensea start that conversation. And the question becomes, if that's going to be the case, if royalties are going to be optional, what does that mean for art? What does that mean for artists? Are they going to be driven to come into the space? Because I think, at least to me, that was the biggest advantage of coming into the space. You don't have to go chase your galleries for
Yeah.
payments. You're getting royalties. You don't have to do anything. It's getting dropped right into your wallet. And now the conversation has shifted. So let's dive deep. Yasi, what did OpenSea actually say in their thread?
Well, let's take a step back before we even talk about what OpenSea said in their thread about this whole thing on the royalty world. How did we get here today that OpenSea even had to come out with a statement about royalties? Because until now, royalties has been part of the NFT ecosystem. You would buy something on OpenSea, pay OpenSea 2.5% fee to them, and there would be a royalty fee to the creator. That could be 2.5%, 5%. We've seen them as high as 10%. Some people even going as high as 15, but 10 to 2.5% has been the norm that we've seen. And then we had Magic Eden, a Solana-based NFT ecosystem and marketplace, coming out and saying that royalties were no longer going to be enforced on Magic Eden ecosystem. One of their big projects, DGods, came out announcing zero royalties for their drop called Utes. And there was a lot of controversy around this decision and whether that is the right move to be driving royalties down. Then we had another exchange, Blur.io. Blur came out, it's backed by Paradigm. They came out saying zero royalties on the platform. They would not enforce royalties on the platform. And then Art Gobblers, which we covered on the show, came out with a release, and we saw Blur exceeding OpenSea for daily transaction volume for the first time because of Art Gobblers. And there's an argument to be made. Royalties moves market makers away from the market. You cannot make a market if there is an additional 5 to 10% tax on every transaction. It takes liquidity out of the market. That's only for high-profile traders. On the other side, creators are saying, well, royalties was part of the reason why I got into this. Royalties is what gives me longevity. Royalties is the things that, as a creator, it's time that artists get royalties. Musicians have it, documentary makers, movie makers. Why should artists not have it? So OpenSea came out with a statement saying that for all new collections, they have created a way to enforce royalties, that there is a way for all new collections starting in, what is the exact date? I don't have it exactly. I think it's December 8th, that you can mint a new contract and enforce royalties, as well as on the smart contract, block trading of your NFT on any exchange that doesn't enforce royalties. You can blacklist other exchanges like Blur.io, like Magic Eden, like others like that. Controversial, some would say, that you're now enforcing where people can trade your NFT, goes away against this whole decentralized, anyone can buy and anyone can trade. But that was the start of OpenSea's response. They did say something that was a little confusing, that people still don't really know what it means, saying that with current collections, we're going to wait and see and ask our community about what to do with that. So what does that mean for current collections? Well, people don't know. What does that actually mean? Doesn't mean that OpenSea are going to now not enforce royalties for current collections, for the Moonbirds, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, or any of the kind of art blocks collections of the world. We don't have an answer to that, and I know that there is discussions happening in real time, so we will come back to you with that answer once we know it. But it is saying that moving forward, new contracts, if you mint them on OpenSea, you can enforce royalties, taking a different trend to what we're seeing with other exchanges that are saying we aren't going to honor royalties. OpenSea is saying we will honor royalties, and you can blacklist people who don't.
So what's your take? What are we doing? What's good for the industry?
What's good for the industry? It is a good question, because I can see the argument for both. But I think with a revolutionary technology like this, going against creators, if you take the principle of let's be creative first, this is something that brings in a whole new wave of creative capability and inspiration. People should be incentivized to be rewarded for their long-term efforts. And if you remove that incentive, we're just going to see a whole bunch of pump and dumps enter the scene. And the only way then people can monetize their collections or their community is by bringing new supply, additional supply. And the more supply you bring into the market, we've seen it erodes value for the original NFT holders. So I would rather have a royalty fee in the ecosystem that people pay and adhere and honor, versus an incentive mechanism where the incentive is that I have to constantly be increasing supply to be earning any kind of income. And that goes against me, the holder, and against you, the creator. I think it's bad for the industry to be removing royalties out of the equation. What do you think?
100%. And I mean, I think that was one of the biggest selling points, right? In perpetuity, you're making a royalty on your collection that could be passed down to your children. now all of a sudden you're not, right? Or now all of a sudden there's
Question
ways to
marks.
get a question marks, ways to get around it. And I think, as artists, when you're going to artists and you're saying, hey, you should be in this space, I think now they're going to say, well, why would I? Right? What's the upside? I don't necessarily believe in it anymore. I told you this wasn't real. I told you this was all fake. And I think artists in general were questioning this. They were curious if this is something they should be a part of. But now I think it's going to be a lot different. I think it's going to be a little bit harder to convince people to come into the space, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, talking to smart people, the royalty aspect to me was what really triggered them to say, aha,
There's
this
something here.
makes sense. There's
Yeah.
something here. The technology is able to do something that, previously we couldn't do. Now, all of a sudden, we're kind of going against the grain. Not not a fan at all. And I'm not a fan more because it's like, it's monetarily based, right? These other platforms that are creating no royalties are doing it for their own sake, right?
To win
They're
market share, yeah.
to win market share. They're going to come out and say, we're giving you this product for free. Eventually, they're going to charge you something, right? Eventually, the other foot is going to drop and they're going to say, well, you love our platform so much and we're going to charge you a fee. They're doing it to make money. So I don't like it. I don't get it. I'm against it. I'm okay with projects if they're able to market themselves and make it happen for them to make money. And let's see what happens. And one last thing, what about free mints, right? Like what's
What happens to those? Yeah.
what happens to, like, why are we even, like, in this bear market? Free mints has been the only ones that have really been winning. Now we're getting nothing, right? Like
free mints with no royalties.
what am I doing? Who cares? Let's go. We're socialism. Like, forget about capitalism. We're going to socialism now. Yeah, I don't foresee how that's going to work. But hey, obviously I've been wrong before. But let's move on to something that I think I know you.
Well, maybe before we move on, one idea that just prompted from you saying, like, what do we have? Well, then, if we are in it, let's go with the reality that we are in a royalty-free society, because the buyers that are trading here are actually going onto platforms that are winning market share, and we're going onto platforms where there are no royalties. Customers are actually demanding the change. We can scream about it all we like, but the people that are buying are doing it. Let's just go with that reality. Then the only way that a project becomes successful and meaningfully makes money is if it holds back some of its supply itself. Let's say you're doing a 10K PFP drop. You're no longer going to do a 10K drop to the audience. Maybe it's completely free mint. You're going to hold back 15%, and now you're putting into the market 8,500 of these. These 8,500 will be traded. People can do it, etc. And eventually there will be a market price for the collection. And slowly you'll start selling your own collection into that market. Those 1,500 pieces that you're going to sell, that's going to become your payday. And now you have these incentives and structures where you're going to maybe start holding back the one-of-ones, the better collections, the better traits. You are in control of these things. And we're going to start seeing those types of behaviors creeping in, because incentives, they push the behaviors, and teams are going to be incentivized to make those kind of changes and those kind of decisions. But it is a model that I think we're maybe going to start seeing, where they're going to be freedom in supplies, teams are holding back the number of the NFTs, and that's going to be their payday.
Yeah, but at the same, I mean, the only people I really see benefiting from all of this is the traders, right?
The traders.
It's like we're incentivizing people who are good at trading and making money. And I don't have a problem with them doing that, right? But at the same time, this is all a Ponzi scheme at that point. It's all pump and dump, right? Because every single person is going to come out and say, well, that's a pump and dump. That's a pump and dump. You're not even going to, like, even projects that could be real are going to turn into pump and dump, because you're going to have traders who are going to move those markets, right? They're going to say, okay, they're going to look at each other's trade. They're going to study data, and they're going to say, okay, if Yassi is trading, he might have some sort of information. So I'm going to follow him. Right. And I'm going to follow that guy. I'm going to follow that guy. And there's going to be a snowball effect. And a project that wasn't even trying to pump or dump was really trying to do it in an authentic way. Somebody's going to call out and say, here we go. Now they're selling off their 15% because it got to that number. I don't see a benefit of that at all. I don't get it. But hey, like I said, what do I know? Before we go, real quick, tell us, Meta Arweave. I know you're excited about it. Give us the really short version of it. What is it and what does it mean?
Really short version, Meta, the company that owns Instagram, have announced that everyone on Instagram will eventually be able to create their own NFTs on the Instagram platform. They're testing it right now. They're calling them digital collectibles. You can take any post that you're putting on Instagram and turn it into an NFT, and it will be its own marketplace where you can buy and sell these digital collectibles as a creator. That's pretty huge because there are billions of people on Instagram. What has Instagram done or Meta done with Arweave? All the metadata for those NFTs are being stored on Arweave. Reminder, Arweave is a permanent storage layer. It is a way for any data to be stored for infinity on the Arweave network. People were very excited about that. The Arweave price pumped about 40% or 45% after the announcement that all of this data is going onto Arweave, and it was a big announcement for them. Good to see Instagram using decentralized tech where they should. A pretty big announcement. This was in a bull market. We would have seen massive amounts of hype across the board. Instagram are entering into the NFT world, and any creator can now become an NFT creator using the platform.
Well done, sir. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show. A lot of information, a lot of things happening. You have to be here. Tune in, subscribe, leave a comment, say hello, follow us on the social medias. Always another fun show, another great Monday, and we'll see y'all later this week. Have a good one, everybody.